Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle. Now I'm going to start this off by saying life will throw you curveballs, and what you have to do is change your swing. I know that today because it happened. But then I get a great present because I get to speak to wonderful people. And that wonderful person I'm speaking to today is David Ince. Now, David Ince has come out with a book, and he has a philosophy. And that goes from idea to implementation, living your passion. Let's say hello to David Ince. Hey, David, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing really great. It's good to be talking to you.
Now, David, you're in Barbados, correct?
That's correct.
And
beautiful Barbados.
Yeah, you're down there where it's nice and sunny and you don't have to deal with snow or but you have bugs that are bigger than ours, correct?
Yeah, we do have some bugs and the occasional hurricane.
Yeah, that's it. You just board up the windows and everything's good, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So let me ask you, David, what brought you to this? I know one of the things was that, you were living that lifestyle that we all dream about, or that we all kind of cater to, which is, you get an education, or you find your niche on how to move about life. And then you find a job and you say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And then one day they say to you, we don't need you anymore. And then you readjust it from that.
Yes, that's about the size of it, Emmett. Just like you said, I went to university. I did everything that you were supposed to do. I landed the job. I worked my way through the company. I was in senior management. Matter of fact, the company was going through some restructuring regionally, and I was part of that restructuring. And lo and behold, one warm Friday afternoon, my immediate director called me in and said, okay, well, you've done a good job, and you're part of the restructuring too. I was given some options, though, because I had 25 years with the company. But at that point in time, I simply choose to call it a day, because I was speaking with my wife up to 12, 18 months prior to that, and I had lost my passion for the job that I was in.
Yeah.
I was good at it, but it was a challenge to get up in the morning to go to it. Not that I hated it. It just, there's really no passion. And
it was like washing your clothes. You just do
correct.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. You had to do it, and you did it.
So, David, are you over the age of 40?
Yes, I am.
And, that's a big thing, because when you're young, it's easy to readapt or to change your life so that you can, move on to different pastures. But it becomes a little more difficult because we're set in our ways. So what did you decide to do? Was this a time of reflection, or a time where you looked into your heart and said, what's there?
It was a little bit of that, and it was also knowing that where my passion always lay. I always enjoyed helping people develop. So it was not a big stretch for me. I simply took 3 months off. I sat, I meditated, I prayed a lot. And I asked, okay, is this really what I can do, not just do, but to make a living from doing it? Because I've always been involved in athletic coaching for teams. So I've been working with them for a number of years. I have been a part-time lecturer at our local university in helping persons develop, mostly in the field of technology, but also spend a bit of time in business. So helping people develop was not foreign to me. It was something that I actually liked. And added to that too, I was an assistant pastor at the church I attended. So I was heavily involved in things like Bible study and counseling. But now I needed to make the switch from it being a side or a part thing to being the core thing that you did, and also being able to pay the bills.
So with that, how did you formulate your next steps in life? What direction did you decide to go? I mean, because literally you were just basically on an extended vacation. You know, if you have planned and you have the if you have enough money and things like that to get you by, it's kind of a vacation. But you know, and I know this, and I hate to say it because it's going to sound sexist, but men have to do something. If they don't do anything, then we either wither and die or we get into trouble. So you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
And most of the time we end up just getting in trouble. So what was your motivation? What spoke to you and said, this is the path I'm going to go, and this is how I'm going to do it?
Actually, it was pretty simple, you know. After the first 3 weeks that I was off, as you described it, in my extended vacation, like I said, I spent time meditating and thinking about it, and I really wanted to find a way of using my skills and experience to help other people develop. Mm-hmm. I knew that. What it looked like, I didn't know that at the point in time. I didn't even consider life or business coaching as an option at that time. I was simply looking for something that allowed me the flexibility to share my experience and my knowledge with others without being restricted to 9 to 5. So that's pretty much it. After much prayer and meditation, however, I came across a company called Christian Coach Network Institute. So I just gave them a call, and it was really out of the blue. And we kind of gelled. They told me what they do and what they train people for. And I said, okay, send me some information and let's see where it goes from there. And 2 weeks later, I was enrolled in a life coaching session, which lasted for 5 months.
Ooh, that's a long time.
It was a full ICF, International Coaching Federation certified program. It really did benefit me. And at the same time, in tandem, I was completing a degree in theology. It was not to go into ministry or anything like that. It was really just self-fulfillment. I wanted to know a little bit more about the history of the Bible, and I wanted mine. I didn't know that they would both come together to form the company that I'm in now, living successfully.
And you guys are kind of in a perfect situation in a sense, because you're in a destination spot where people want to come to, and especially if they can get some wisdom too. So you guys are located in Barbados. Are you guys having sessions down there, or do you plan to come to the United States or travel? Because you're in a pretty good position, because you are right between North America and South America. So that's two that you can spread your message to a really broad audience. And do you guys plan to have coaching sessions or anything here or in Barbados?
Eventually, that's what I would want to do. I do have some coaching sessions here in the island, but I do quite a bit online also with tools such as Zoom and Skype, FaceTime. I do quite a bit of one-on-ones, especially in the Atlanta area. I'm in Barbados, but yes, I do have quite a bit of clients out of Atlanta, and that too is a fortuitous happening, because it wasn't something I planned. I got in touch with a Facebook group that is based in Atlanta, so we started conversing, and it was quite a large group. It's about 40,000
Wow.
persons within the group. And so I promoted myself there, and since then I've been getting persons, especially on the one-on-one, out of that community.
Good, good, good. So where did the book come from? How did you say, I have some thoughts that I need to put down and make myself immortal that will last forever?
And the book came about pretty much as a challenge to me. One of my close colleagues, I would say, because she never actually accepted my offer to coach, but she's always respected me as one of a little bit of wisdom. I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet here, but she says, okay, if I needed something, just come and talk to you, David. And she said to me, why don't you write this thing down? I mean, there's only so much hours in the day. You can't touch that many people by speaking directly to them. And so it's just an ebook at this time. I'm actually in the process of writing the second one, the follow-up to it. I actually did that book in an afternoon. I came back to the office, hooked the microphone on, and started talking to myself.
That's a good way to do it. And I hate to say it, and for those of you who are into writing books, that is the best way to say it, because if I try to write what I'm thinking, my fingers are not fast enough.
Correct.
And I miss a lot of the thought because I'm condensing, let me say it a different way so I can write it faster. So, I commend you on that. And how big is the book? How many pages is it in the ebook format?
24 pages. It's not a large book.
Oh, that's a quick read then. That's perfect.
Quick read, correct, yeah.
So in your book, do you have listed the 5 steps for living your passion?
Correct.
And without getting too much into detail about it, can you explain? Can you list the 5 steps of living your passion?
Okay, the first step is identifying what that passion is, and just to say quickly, your passion is what you would do that brings value to others that you would do even if you weren't being paid to do it.
Well, I found that one. Check.
Okay.
I'm doing it right now. All right.
There you go. The second step is identifying what you would want to do with that passion.
That's
okay. So say let's use gardening for example. There are many people who enjoy gardening, but they don't take it any further than a hobby. So you would ask them, okay, what would you do with this passion if you were given unlimited resources? And most of them would say, okay, yeah, I would feed the world, or I would feed my community. So that gives them the genesis of the dream or the idea. The second thing then would be, how would you go about making this a reality? What's the first thing that you need to do? So from there, you build a plan.
Awesome.
The next step simply would be, are there any obstacles that would hinder you from making this a reality? And I would hasten to point at this point in time, let it not be money.
You said
money comes, money goes.
You said let it not be money, correct?
Yeah, let it not be money.
Yeah, that's a good point, because a lot of times, and that's particularly what the billionaire lifestyle is about, a lot of people are driven by money, and we end up so miserable. We end up so not living. That's the best way I can put it. And
yes,
then when
exactly.
you find that thing that you, like you actually said, when you find that thing that you would do all day, even if you didn't get paid for it, if you can just find a way for it to sustain your life at the base root level, which means you have housing, you're a safe environment, you have food, and you're loved, that's pretty much a billionaire to me, because you have everything you need. I mean, it all goes down to me for the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So I'm in alignment with exactly what you say. Overall.
Correct.
So
And
go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and the final step really is once you identify those things, then how do you mitigate against them? So there will be obstacles. There will always be obstacles in life that you have to circumvent or get around or deal with. But every problem has a solution. So once you can get around those things, what else is there to hinder you from pursuing this dream, this passion? And that's the implementation phase.
So let's say you're counseling me and I'm doing it, and I'm like, David, I want to start a podcast so that I can help people around the world, so I can give them a voice and I can learn some things myself. But then it becomes really difficult to do, where I reach this fork in the road. It's like, I don't know if this is doing it. I love doing it, but I don't know the impact that it's having. Let's basically say I'm at a transition point. I'm at this fork in the road. What do I do?
Okay, the first thing I would normally say to folks is, okay, nothing wrong with doubts, but what do you lose by not doing it? Because many people see the problems with doing it. If I do this, this may happen, or this may happen. But if you don't do it, what happens? In most cases, nothing. You stay exactly where you are. So what do you have to lose by at least trying?
By just moving forward, you just stay the course of your vision.
Yes. And one of the examples that I shared in the book, and at the time I said it, I didn't think it was that deep, but for persons who have read it, they have come back to me with it. I use the example of building a house. One of the first things you do when you build a house is you dig a foundation.
Excuse me.
In which direction does the foundation go in relation to where the house is supposed to go? It's in the opposite direction. Your foundation goes down, but you want your house to come up.
Yeah.
But the taller your house is, the deeper your foundation. So sometimes it's important for you to step back. But not step back to stay back. Step back so that you can go forward with more purpose, with more focus. And that's sometimes where the doubt comes in with persons who are endeavoring to chase their dreams or to develop their ideas. They see all the things that they have to do, or sometimes all the negatives. I try to tell them, okay, don't see it as a negative. See it as a way of making progress. It was John Paul who said, a mistake is only a mistake when you don't learn from it.
Wait a minute, who said that?
John Powell.
Oh, I thought you said Sean Paul.
I don't think he was that deep, but
no, I don't think so either. I was about to say, I don't remember it in any song I've ever heard. That's all right.
So when you get to that point, it's really about them simply understanding that life happens, but because you may fall, that's not the end of it. You only fail when you stay down. When you get back up, you're always making progress. And hopefully you have learned from it. And so when you see some of the great entrepreneurs of our time, Thomas Edison, for example, I mean, he had, from his biography, he had thousands of failures with his light bulb. And when he was asked, what kept him going, he said every time one process didn't work, he knew of a way not to try. So he always saw it in a positive light. He was always moving forward.
And you're absolutely right about that, because, he was one of my early heroes when I was a child. I used to read all the books that were published on him. And, later I started to realize that, he tried so many different things just to get it right for one time. And he said, if it doesn't work this way, let's try something else until we find out what works. So you've also made some things about starting over in midlife, which is actually what you did. Can you explain a little bit more about that and how it affects other people, or how they can move forward even if they find themselves in that situation?
First of all, I tell persons in my age group, life is a continuum, and you can make a start at any point. The challenge from many of us, especially in the Western world, you're taught to go to school, get an education, and then get that job that takes you to the pension. And so you think of life as a beginning and a ending, as opposed to a series of beginnings. And really, when you look at life from that perspective, you can make a start at any point in time. And that is my philosophy. That is what caused me at age 50, and I'm actually 50 years old, to start my first company. I've always done individual contract work. Like I said, beyond working with a major IT company, I was a part-time lecturer at the local university. I also facilitated at the local junior college, and I spent some time as a freelance instructor. But this is the first time I actually branched out and said, okay, I want to start a business that will benefit others, and a business that, if I care to, I can pass on to somebody else or even sell. And that was a start for me. It was scary. I wouldn't kid you. It was something that...
I agree with you on that, because I've started a couple of companies, and here's what most people in the Western world don't realize. Even though the Western world has a great deal of financial capital that people can deal with, and I tell people this all the time, even if they're middle class or lower middle class, even poor in the United States, I say to them, I'm like, do you know that you are in the 1% of earning capital of the world? Most people in the world make less than $1 a day or less than $3 a day. And if you make minimum wage in America by standards of other countries or other populations, you are rich. So we get used to this certain quality of life, which is pretty high. I mean, we have good health care. We have good things happening. And all of a sudden, we are... You got to hold on a minute. All of us, we have to go through some things. Oh, I see what's happening. Can you hold on a second?
Sure.
I had a... Sorry about this. I smelled something burning, and it was a USB cable.
Oh.
Seriously. My USB cable shorted out and was burning up.
And this is all because of the flooding that you had in your basement?
Yeah, it was. Hold on a second, because hopefully I didn't lose anything. No, because I'm smart. Please, Jesus. My computer froze. So let's disconnect that. Bummer. Actually, let's keep going.
Okay.
So, because I always keep a backup. So I have 2 recorders going. I have my computer going, and I have something recorded on an outboard recorder. Smart man, Emmett.
Built-in redundancy.
Oh, it's the way today has been working. It's absolutely, it's just, I'm going to tell you what it is. It's God telling me what I was worrying about before was nothing. He was like, get your head back into the game. He was like, you think, because I was a little paranoid about, you can't help but being a man of color in the United States and being kind of paranoid all the time. So, there was this thing that was just kind of revolving around me, and I was just like, "Ugh." And then, this situation happened with my house where, a lot of water came in, and I was having a hard time getting things done. And this is just telling me, focus, everything's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about life. That's what we forget, because like I was saying before, we get very comfortable where we are and forget where we're going.
And that's exactly it. And the example that you give was a brilliant one. So often we are so focused on what is not going right that we forget the things that are going right. And you pointed it out. I mean, especially we in the West, we have so much conveniences. I'm not saying that persons don't have difficulties at times, but when you look at our standard of living, the things that we take for granted versus persons in Central Africa.
Yeah.
Sometimes you really didn't understand that we are blessed.
Yeah, we're really we are extremely blessed. I'm still adjusting here.
Okay.
There we go. That's why. All right. All right. Give me 1 second here. I know you have something to do, though, don't you?
Well, it's coming up pretty soon, but we're good for another 5-10 minutes.
Okay. So what else do you have planned in the future? What do you see? Where do you see yourself going forward?
Okay, I am looking to get on the speaking circuit. So I've started promoting myself as a motivational speaker. Again, it is not something that I've never done, but just never done it in a structured business-like way. So actually being with you is actually a part of it. Learning to speak to a wide audiences, not just the captive audience in the conference room or the boardroom or the training room, but to speak to the general audience and to have some measure of appeal to them. So this is part of it. I have done in the last 8 weeks. I've been invited to 3 different radio stations. This is locally, and so that has benefited some, and it is something that I enjoy. My wife would tell you so too, man.
And
I just didn't have a conversation with you all day.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful thing too, because when a person, particularly a man, finds something that he loves outside of his family, some passion that he has for living and life, that makes everybody's life better, for the simple fact that now they benefit from his passion and love of something that he can create or he can own for him or herself.
Yeah. And actually, that's why I described your living your passion in the way I did earlier. If you can find something that you do that adds value to somebody else, not simply to yourself, but adds value to somebody else that you would do even if you were not being paid to do it, then that truly is a passion. That truly is something that brings value to mankind, not just yourself. Because I know some persons, I would ask them, so what is it that you enjoy doing that you wouldn't mind doing all day? And they may tell me sleeping. It doesn't add value to anybody.
I know someone from Barbados who would agree with you. They love to sleep.
Okay, there you go.
I see that we have, I asked you to be a friend on Facebook right before I called you. And I see that we have a common person, Miyoko Taylor.
Okay.
Yeah, I interviewed him about a week ago.
Great.
So
Great.
it's a small world. I know I talked to you.
World.
I talked to you before, but things just line up. Sometimes when I talk to people, it's just, you ready to do it now? And they're like, sure, and things happen. So I'm so grateful that you took the time out of your day to spend with the Billionaire Lifestyle, because this is a great message for everyone to hear, in the fact that it is never too late. You're just having a succession of starts all throughout your life, whether it's a baby beginning to walk, a teenager learning to drive, someone getting their first job, or having your first grandchild. It's all a bunch of starts, and there is no constant in the world. The only thing that is really constant is change and growth. And if you're not changing, then you're dying. So you might as well get together and grow. David, I want to thank you so much for being on the Billionaire Lifestyle. Do you have any last words for the Billionaire Lifestyle audience?
My final words is pretty much a rehash of some of the things that we were saying earlier. And that's simply to live life one day at a time, realizing that every day can be a new beginning. We can't change the past, no matter how much we would like to, but we can determine what our future looks like. So we can all have a measure of success, but we have to choose it. It will not happen to us accidentally. We need to choose success. And that's what I would leave with our listening audience.
Awesome. So you have an awesome day, my man, and thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you too, Emmett.
All right.
You have a great day yourself.